Welcome to Mental Hubs. Welcome to Python Fundamentals. The last time we covered some installations, how to get started in Python, installation in using local development tools, or also using other public tools like Google Colabs. Today's session, we're going to go into some concepts of Python, such as variable data types, understanding how to manage or deal with this type of concepts. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so in every programming language, we have a concept of variable data types. And variable is just like what it said, it's a variable. It's something that is changing, right? It's a name location that stores a value, just in memory. And so I think this is better explained by, demonstrations, but just know that variable is used to store some data or some object, just to name, to kind of store some data. Variable allows you to store and manipulate data in your programs, okay? Now, data types, every variable needs to have a specific data types. And that what it means is that, for example, we have numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, that's a number. That's a data type. But your name, maybe name, Victor, and so on. That's also another form of variable, but that's not a number. So that's a string. In programming, we call that string. So, and then we also have decimal, right? So in Python, we call decimal float, right? You have 20.24. That's not a number, but it's a number, but it's also a form of number that is not, that is in Python, we say it's a float, right? Because it's got decimal. And some other type of variables, like something can be true or false, right? So in programming, in Python, any programming, we say it's a boolean because it's a true or false, right? So these are data types. Every variable that you're going to use or define needs to have its data type. Okay. And there are some conditions about how the naming of a variable should be, should not, should start with a letter and so on. It's case sensitive. Let's define some variables to kind of drive some point home. For example, we can have a variable called age to store the value 30. Okay. So this just simply means age is a variable name and the value is 30, right? You could also have, address to be equal to 225 Greenway. This is also a variable storing this address, and this is called a string. This is a number, and then this is a string variable. Okay, so essentially anything that you put under in a code in Python is a string, right? And then you could also have, say, salary is 30.45. This is also a variable, but this is a float because it's got a decimal. So this is called float. Okay. And then if um, something can be is car is true, or can be, this is also a variable that is a condition, like a true or false kind of condition. So this is called boolean. This is just more descriptive way of, we have a variable, it's called a type. What type is your variable that you define? You're defining, right? Age is a variable name, and the value is 30. Okay. And this is going to be very useful later in programming. As you see, I can say in the name, is Victor. This is a variable called string, right? And it's a type of string because we have a quote right there. The variable name is name, and its value is Victor. Okay. So pretty much, why is this one? Okay. Okay, so name is variable name. This is the value. Now I can then start to print the value. I can say I want to print the age, right? The age here defined is 30. I can also say I want to print the address. I can also say, you want to print the salary and so on. You could just print your variable. If I run this code, this is going to give me the values that we attached, right? We say age is equal to 30. We say address is this, right? And then when we print, we get the values that we define in those variables. So basically, a variable just allows you to store data. And you could even, I can come here and say age is no longer 30, it's now 50. If I do print, now the value of age has changed. It was defined as 30, but because we changed the value right here to a new value, it's now 50. So 50 is getting printed, not 30 anymore. Okay. Just have that in mind. Now, there are a couple of other operations that we can do to some variables. For example, I can get the length, how long is the variable. For example, name, Victor, is the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I can say uh, print the length of the name. The name here is what? Is a variable. I want to know the length. How long is this name, Victor? If I print this, it's going to give me 6 because Victor is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could print the length of a variable. Let's say we have another variable called um, maybe what idea can we have here? We can say a variable name is just hello. So school. Okay. Variable name is school. I just say the school is PVAMU. Okay. Now in Python, we could also lowercase your string. You could uppercase the string. Right now it's all uppercase. I can say print the lowercase up. I can say school dot is, you can see, because this is a string, there are some things that you can do to the string, right? You can capitalize it, you can, you can do some operations. It's lower, it's upper, but let's say I just want to lower. I can just type in lower. This will lower all the letters. If I print school, this will give me all lower letter, even though we define all capital letter. So this string allows you to do some operations to them, right? For example, I can say school dot, I just press dot. I didn't even need to know this in my head, right? These are the things you can do. You could format, you could check if it's a decimal, it's digit, and so on. You could check if it's uppercase, if it's lowercase. We're going to go into some of these later as we continue in the course of the course. I don't want to waste some time here. Basically, this allows you to just kind of do some operations on your variable, okay? Um, and then I already talked about it, true, false. It's something can be true, something can be false. It's just what it is. It's the data types in programming that you're kind of giving to your variables. And all variables, like I said, needs to have a type and so on. Now, let's say you would have, you have first name variable is Victor, and then my last name is Olafinde. Let's say I want to print this together, right? Print first underscore name plus, that's how you do it, plus last underscore name. You print this, you're gonna get, you can see there's no space in between Victor. It's just taking the first value of the variable, the last one, and putting it together. But let's say we want to have a space, right, between Victor and Bolokinde. You could just say plus some space, just put a quote, and then say plus again. And then you said this is a space. So this gives you a space between that. Okay, so now you have Victor space Bolokinde. Okay, so I'm just taking the first variable, putting another space in between, and then the second variable, and that prints it together. Pretty much, that's it. On basic operations that you can do to some of these, you could do, already in our guide here, we have a lot of, you could do additions, right? You could have a number, A, variable A is equal to 10, B is equal to 15. These are two variables, right? You could do print A plus B. It will give you the sum of that. You could do subtractions, you could do multiplication, divisions, and so on. But the key important one is that I want to mention, if I do print A modulus B, this is going to give me the remainder of these divisions. So if I do this, let's print that. You can see the first one gives us A plus B. The second one is the remainder of the divisions, right? Of the A and B, okay? Returns the remainder of the divisions, okay? You can just practice some of these out. It's fairly simple, but the idea is simple. Within we're defining the variables, we're doing some operations to the variable, whether we're adding the variable, we're printing them, we are, kind of doing some operations to the variables. And these operations you're going to see them in the course of the programming, right? You could check if two variables are equal. How do you do that? Let's say I want to check if A equals to B. The way we do that in Python is A double equal B. This is just going to check if A is equal to B, but we know A is not equal to B, right? So this should return false, right? That's what we have false here, okay? If I define this to be 15, now A is equal to B, right? This will give me true because that's what it is, right? So those are some condition checks that you should practice, right? And just to get some ideas of how variable works, okay? Now, a couple of other things that I want to mention, we can convert a string to int. Like I told you about, these are the data types that we have in Python, right? We have a int, which is for numbers, and then we have float for anything with decimal. So there's a 2.24, that's a float. We also have a string, which is anything with a quote, like my name, like the name. And then we have Boolean, okay? This is all the data types that you should care about right now. This is all you might likely meet in the course of your programming for data engineering or whatever programming you. Now you could convert a string, a number to a string, and this allows you to be able to do what we call type conversions, right? Implicit type conversions, where you are taking one type and you convert into the other type. Now, essentially, right? If you type in if you define, let's say define the variable, say number equals to 10. Number equals to 10. If I want to know the type of this number, this is going to give me, since it's a number, you can see it said it's an int, right? I can say I want to convert this int to a string. That's allowed, right? You could just say, I want to get another variable saying num equal to string of 10. Okay. Now, if I say type of num, this would be a string because we did this string is converting num to a string. Okay. That's just simply type conversions, right? We're just doing type conversion right here. Okay. So pretty much we're going to get more into this concept. I don't want to get you confused, but the idea is very simple. We're defining variables, we're doing some operations to these variables, and that's what I really think should be the biggest priority right now. Okay. Practical use cases here could be that, you need to, when you're doing your data engineering, you're going to see use cases where, you're defining variables and you're using those variables to do some operations. You need to do some operations to them into count numbers or, lowercase your strings or do some operations. Basically, that's it. The rest of the course, you could go over some of the things that I have in the outline, but they are fairly simple. You can also, let's do something interesting. So I could have, let's do something. Let me write this code out and I will explain what I'm trying to do. So we have user input, right? I'm saying input equals to enter your name, okay? Or enter your age, something like that. We're asking the user to enter the age, right? If I enter this is going to ask me to enter a number because I'm using this input, like Python library called input. If I put 30 here, 10 here, and I enter your age, I already entered 10, right? Now I can do something to this 10 that was entered by the user. And to do that, right, we can take that 10 and saying number equals to whatever the user enter, we convert that to some int, user underscore input. Okay, now we can say in print, say your age is the number that the user enter. If I enter this, if I enter 20, now this will say your age is 20. We're just taking user data. We take it there. The first line takes the data from the user. The second line took, store that data in a variable called number. The third one line is kind of just printing back saying your age is 20. Sorry about that. Okay. So basically, it's very simple. These are simple Python things that you are going to use day to day. In a summary, what have we done so far today? We've done a concept of variables where we define what the variables are. We assign values to those variables. Right? We define a variable called age. We said it's 30. We define address. We said that this is the address value. So you have a variable, it has a value. Now you're going to do something to the variable, right? There's a reason why you're collecting the data, storing the variable. It might be you want to count or you want to add, do multiplications, additions. All these are the questions. What are the operations that you're going to do on the variables that you have? For example, we have a variable here named school, right? Now, the operation we're doing here, we're lowering case, with lowercase. We can also uppercase. We can do some other things. If I want to uppercase, I just need to type uppercase. It's there. You didn't have to write this method. This is a method that Python is providing to you to do the operations in the variables. Okay, we can concatenate. Concatenation just means we can join two variables together. The first variable is first name, last name, we join it together. And then, we can do a bunch of other things like addictions. We can, also collect data from the user using the input, where we have the data to user to enter some information. We do something to those information, either we're printing them, right? This is where we collect data. This is where we do something. All right. So in this session, we completed some variable definitions, data types, understanding how to process your data, your variables, and also accurately assign a type to the data types, up to the data that the variable that you've defined. In the next session, we're going to go over control flows, where we're going to talk about some other important concept in Python. I hope I see you soon. Thank you.